You know, in the Matrix, when Neo goes to the Oracle, see if you can follow what I'm going to go with this. You know, he thought he was fussing and fretting over the decision that he was going to have to make. And she said, no, you've already decided. You're just not comfortable in accepting that decision. You're struggling to accept the decisions. You've already decided, okay? And so think of it now and apply that to when you talk to the Father. He's already decided. The problem is whether or not you're okay with his answer. So it's kind of, hopefully that kind of connects a little bit. It's not exactly, you know, matching perfectly, but the idea of you being okay with the answer. Now, in Neo's case, it was his decision. In your case, it's the Father's decision, but can you be okay? This is where, I know you guys remember me teaching about this, and Brianna wrote a beautiful song about it, Dayenu, right? You know he's already done a lot in your life. Not just a lot what we read scripturally, et cetera, but in your own life. And yet you want more, which is fine, but you have to have the Dayenu, which is, and if you do not give me more, I'm totally happy with what you've given me up to this point because you've done so much. Look, my son still comes to me every now and then talking about big plans he has for his future. And so your Heavenly Father's like that. He wants to hear your big plans for your future and what you're hoping to accomplish. And some of the things he tells me he may accomplish, some of them he may not. But I like hearing that he's trying to plan ahead and plan, especially if the plan makes sense. And so you bring these things to your Father saying, hey, Father, I know I'm 70-something years old or 60-something years old or whatever age you are, and say, you know what, but I think I can do so much more still in the time I have. And your Father's going to say, cool, let's see what you do with that, okay? And he may bless it, he may not, he may just let you struggle and play with it, but it's good to see that you haven't quit and you're still aiming higher, you're still striving to be productive and to grow. So if I say to you, knock it off, you're frustrating me, or that's annoying, I could either be saying what you're doing is annoying and frustrating, or I could be saying you are annoying and frustrating. You, like that's your being. And if you take it the one way, you'll think of me differently than if you take it the other way. If you realize I'm only talking about what you were doing at that moment, you're not going to take it so personally, and you're going to say, okay, sorry, I'll stop and I'll do something else. But if you think I think you're something, and now you're owning it as a label on you, then you're going to be thinking, well, then why does that person love me? Why are they even friends with me? Why are they married to me? If they think I'm such an annoying person, whatever. You're going to take it a wrong way. Does that make sense? All right? So as long as we're able to separate that the anger, the frustration, whatever it is that you're dealing with is about a situation, not necessarily the person you're dealing with as a whole. In other words, everybody, if you're this is for all of you out there. If you're going to do the 3 tithes, you've never done the 3 tithes, trust me, everybody goes through the, I can't afford it, this doesn't make sense. Then they do it and it works and it doesn't make sense, okay? Everybody, just so you know, everybody in this room that tithes, I'm not going to have you raise your hand to say you tithe or not because that'd be embarrassing, right, to those who don't raise their hands. But everybody, I ask for anybody that doesn't have that experience, not a hand went up, okay? So I just wanted you to know out there, if you're struggling thinking, but this isn't going to work, all right? By the way, what they also could have done is realize, no, we have to have our daughter finally grow up, take care of herself, not pay both our bills and everything else, okay? Because that also may have been the answer to the reality check, okay? There's no reason for you to, and by the way, not tithing is not an excuse because, well, we're paying for our adult child and all these other things that we don't really need to be doing. I'm just trying to help you guys understand the perspective on this, okay?
Well, if somebody crosses the center line on me on my way home, I need to at least have some assurance in my own mind that I have done everything I can. My concern is the stuff I'm not aware of that I may have left out.
Don't worry about that stuff, okay? A, you're only responsible for what you know. B, as long as you are making every effort to make sure that you know everything that you're supposed to know that you're responsible for, you've listened to the teachings, you paid attention. So in other words, I don't want you hiding in the basement somewhere so that you don't have to do what's revealed, so you're not going to learn anything. But if he sees that remember, it's Deuteronomy 8:2. He wants to see that your heart wants to get this right. Your heart wants to obey the commandments. Your heart wants to do what is, you understand what I'm saying? So that's, if a car jumps the line and takes you out on your way home tonight, you should have assurance that you've made the effort and your heart was to make the effort with integrity. If acting out and defending yourself might minimize it to some degree, absolutely, please do. But you could get killed too, or you could get permanently damaged in some way. So I don't have a real good answer for you. It's the most awful thing I can imagine, somebody going through. But I want you, if you are ever in that moment, God forbid you should be in that moment, but if you're ever in that kind of moment, always through your mind, just don't think about hating what was happening, but think about, if I fight, whatever I do, am I going to get killed, permanently damaged in some way? And so, because as long as you live through and can get out, then you could do something after. But again, if there's a chance your fighting back could stop it, great. Make that effort. Gauge that effort. Always make the effort up front, but gauge that effort. If that effort looks like it might get you in a lot more violent beating of whatever, because sexual interaction on that level is 99% of the time, it's a violent act, not a sexual act. Even though sex is happening, it's about the dominance and the violence. Because a lot of people say, oh, we need to be like the first century. Really? You're going to take everything that you have, sell it all, and give it to me? And then have me distribute out and take care of it? Because you're not ready to do that. And you're not ready to do that because you do not, for the most part, Rocky does, but most of you do not see me correctly, okay? In terms of the role, not me as a person, I'm a mess of a person. Okay, I'm not claiming to be anything but the role, okay? And so since you don't trust that, you don't participate as you should. And so that's the one main thing. They trusted the apostles, although we do have one little problem with, one little promise that didn't go well, and then they died. Ananias and Sapphira, right? We know about that one. And so, let's keep that in mind. But see, just remember, think about what you're asking for and what it would require.
So would that be an example of him having less wisdom than maybe would be?
No, okay. So situations require us to always think about who is doing what they're doing and what is their role and where are they, right? Okay? So when I gave advice saying, look, if you are going to be going to a big city where there's some people that are not of sound mind, may just come and beat the whatever out of you because you're wearing seat, and wisdom may dictate not to entice crazy people to come and attack you, under those circumstances, okay? Now, I haven't been anywhere where I felt the need to tuck mine in, and I just haven't done that. Now, that's not the same thing as Daniel. Daniel is in authority, in a position of authority, so he has a role to stand up to that authority, okay? And so he's saying, it's just like if they made a rule that you had to work on Saturday, I would not work on Saturday, and they might throw me in jail or whatever. That's dealing with law and government as opposed to dealing with just crazy people. You got to realize that there's what I desire intellectually versus what I desire emotionally. So what he's saying is, the good I wish to do intellectually gets messed up by the evil that I don't want to do, but I do anyway because that's where my emotion is. This is a battle between the mind and the heart, okay? Because the heart is the one that has its own law. The mind, you can change whichever law you want to put there. You could decide to do your own law like the heart wants. You could decide to do his law. That's an intellectual choice. So what he says is, look, the good I wish to do, the good meaning the Torah, he says, I don't always do that. But the evil that I don't want to do, up here I don't want to do it, but down here I do, so that's why I do it. Because everything we do ultimately is because we want to. Now the question is, are we wanting to hear intellectually, or are we wanting to hear emotionally? So there are some people in life that may just be here because they're just here as part of that, not because he chose it that way, but because you're going to choose to be that way. You're not living life. You're choosing to be a non-player. Players get in the game. Players are actively doing the things that are expected to be done. So you end up choosing to just be a role player, like a separate, just a person who exists to interact with. That's your choice. So I'm not saying that Abba has given you, well, it's not fair. He picked me to be just a non-player. No, you choose to be a non-player because you're not playing. And that's kind of what I'm understanding. That this is a game to some degree. He gives you the rules and the expectations on how to win the game. I'm not stretching it too much. Paul calls it a race. A race is a type of game. And you run to win. And so you're told how to win. Okay? But you don't win by beating everybody. You win by accomplishing the expectation of the tasks that are at hand. Then you get to win.